Hello everyone, welcome back to the Real Starfire, and today we will be doing the 66 subscriber special by talking about the Palpatine cards in the X-Wing Miniatures game. So, there's no secret that I love Emperor Palpatine and the Imperial faction, but I haven't really talked about Palpatine in the Separatist and Republic factions. So today we're going to talk about both. I'm going to spend more time on the Chancellor Palpatine and Darth Sidious cards because we have yet really to cover them or talk about those factions a lot on this channel, but I will be covering a little bit of Emperor Palpatine and talk about a list I am planning on flying whenever I do a hyperspace event going forward until the next hyperspace rotation. So let's go ahead and get started talking about Chancellor Palpatine. So Chancellor Palpatine is a dual-sided card. This is actually really interesting that they came up with in it was kind of in 1.0, but really happened a lot in 2.0 with these double-sided cards. So Chancellor Palpatine, this is supposed to be the Palpatine that is the Republic version, says that set up, equip this side face up. After you defend, if the attacker is at range 0 to 2, you may spend 1 force charge. If you do, the attacker gains 1 stress token. During the end phase, you may flip this card. Now that's pretty powerful, that's a lot of good control. If you get hit by an attack, sure, throw back a stress their way, maybe you double stress them, and now they're stuck 2 turns trying to relieve that stress, and you kind of control them a little bit. I like that a lot. I think that's really cool. Then you have the other side, which is the Darth Sidious side, which reads, after you perform a purple coordinate action, it's supposed to be purple, the ship you coordinate gains 1 stress token, then it gains 1 focus or recovers 1 force charge. So that's even really good against in Separatist or in Republic. So what's really interesting to me is that when I look at these two cards, and I don't know if it's was designed that way or anything, but I feel like the Chancellor Palpatine card is really good in Separatist lists, and the Darth Sidious card is really good in Republic lists. And I always found that really weird. But there is one downside to going over to the Darth Sidious side, and that downside is you can't flip the card back over to the Chancellor Palpatine side. So once you go Darth Sidious, there's no going back to the Chancellor side. So you really have to make this really crazy decision on, okay, do I select and stay on Chancellor the entire game, or do I go to Darth Sidious knowing that I won't be able to have any sort of defense or mitigation against people who attack me? So it's basically like Darth Sidious is there to help your other ships out, give them force charges and focuses, and have great action economy. I think that's great, especially when you talk about aces and when you talk about the Republic aces. And I talked about how in my ace video, I talked about how when you run out of those charges, you lose a lot of your ability to do things, your defense and your offense. Darth Sidious is able to boost those back up. And there's even some cooler combos with the Chancellor Palpatine side that we're going to experiment with Zam Wesell. Then we're going to go over to the Emperor Palpatine. Emperor Palpatine, I talk about a lot, but just so everyone knows what it is. While another friendly ship defends or performs an attack, you may spend 1 force charge to modify one of its dice as though that ship had spent 1 force charge. So basically this is an infinite range, free force charge that you can spend on any of your ships in your list, including yourself or any of your escorts or wingmen, whatever have you. The only big downside to Emperor Palpatine with this great ability is that he requires 2 seats, 2 crew slots. So very few ships can take him. It's only basic, at least in the Imperial side, it's only the Decimator, the Reaper, and the Lambda. So he only has certain things he can be put into, but that's okay because you get this really powerful ability. And he only costs 11 as opposed to his former self, which costs 14, but that only takes 1 crew slot. So you have a big, huge variety to put Chancellor Palpatine / Darth Sidious on. You have the Arc 170s, you have the fire sprays, you have the gunships. There's just tons of places to put the Palpatine card in Republic and Separatist. Even in the Darth Maul ship, there's tons of places, just really good places for Palpatine. So now let's start talking about some lists that we see Palpatine in. I'm going to go ahead and talk about Palp Aces, Palp Squints right now. This is my hyperspace list that I am planning on taking to hyperspace events. I'm going to take this anytime I have hyperspace because I think this is just the most powerful list right now that Empire has, just because Empire was graced with 2 Initiative 6 pilots, with great action economy, and was able to put in something very beefy like a Decimator and have Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader in a list. So one thing we need to talk about this list that I kind of made to sort of break the game a little bit was I'm pretty good at flying these interceptors. I'm really good at that. I really love the interceptors. That's just where I'm really good at flying. But what I did here to kind of cheat out a little bit more on a Palpatine was put Darth Vader on the Decimator. Now, I really have no intention of using Darth Vader's ability unless there is a ship with maybe 1 hole left, or there's a ship that has a token that I need to get rid of to protect one of my other ships. That's the only time I'm really thinking about using Vader. But the whole purpose of Vader being on this Decimator with Palpatine is to grant Palpatine another use of his ability. Because it does not say once per turn, against larger numbered ship lists, so anything like 5 or 6, you're going to need a lot of economy. So having your interceptors go in, and they're going to be in bad positions just because there's so many ships on the board. You can't avoid everybody. So having the Palpatine charges 2 per turn as opposed to once per turn to support 2 ships is really good, because if one of your ships is in a bad position to take out a ship, at least you have some Palpatine defense to mitigate that, or you defense everything on that ship and use your Palpatine charges for offense. It just offers a lot of combo pieces and a lot of power to the list. But we already knew that. I talk about him a lot, Emperor Palpatine. So I just wanted to showcase, if you're looking for a hyperspace list that's really fun to fly and is really powerful, I suggest Palp Squints. This is just a really fun, easy list that I came up with. That's, it's nothing original though, even though I say I came up with it. It's just, I came up with it because I like it, I enjoy it. No one else really thought of, let's do Palp Aces and hyperspace because people are pretty tired of it, but I will never get tired of it. So let's talk about Palpatine in the former as Chancellor Palpatine / Darth Sidious. So in also my last video, I talked about the ace list and how Separatists are not really good at aces. This is probably the best ace list I can see Separatists have. I was kind of put on a challenge, well, can you make a Separatist ace list? This is as close as I'm pretty much going to get with it, in my opinion, just because it's more combo piece based as opposed to flying based. So it doesn't really feel AC, it just feels more combo wing-esque. So let's just talk about what Palpatine does for this list. So first off, we got Jango Fett and Zam. Palpatine is on Zam. And Zam has these crazy abilities. We all know how powerful Zam is. But this Palpatine card makes Zam even more powerful, not only for herself, but even for Jango Fett. So, as we know, when you defend, if the attacker is at range 0-2, you spend the force charge, you give a stress to the attacker. Well, with Zam, you also have these condition cards. So if you have You Better Thank Me on here, here's just a really strong 3-piece combo that you can do with Zam. So you place down the You Should Thank Me card, and then when you get attacked and you defend, you flip it over, you recover that charge, and then you acquire that lock on the attacker. Not only that, you spend the charge with Palpatine. If they're range 0-2, you give them a stress token. Alright? Not only that, but you're now able to trigger your false transponder codes. After you acquire a lock on an object, or an object acquires a lock on you, if you have one active charge, you lose the charge and jam the object, ignoring the range restrictions. So once you do that target lock with Zam, you do false transponder codes, you jam them immediately. If they're in range, you Chancellor Palpatine them, and then you give them a stress token. They are completely controlled at that point. The only thing better you can do is probably ionize them. So now what you do the next turn is you use the Great Dial that the Fire Spray has, and you just do a K turn, get behind them, and you just start punching some dice into them. Especially with having 3 in the front and 3 in the back, that's very powerful. But that's a very simple combo you can use. It's a one-time use combo, but it's a really good way to gain huge advantages against your opponent. Even if you don't flip around, you could do maybe a 2 hard or something, and then you just use your back guns to hit them. You don't necessarily have to flip around. But you also have thermal detonators. So by controlling them and preventing them from turning around or doing any harder turns to gain the action, you're basically just dropping those thermal detonators there. to put the bombs there so that way they're completely going into a wash of destruction. Either you super pass them and you hit them with the back guns to finish them off, or if they're a bigger ship, I would probably flip around and just continue to pursue them just to constantly push damage through. Now, what about the other side of Palpatine, the Darth Sidious side? After you perform a purple coordinate action, the ship coordinated gains 1 stress token, but then it gains a focus or recovers a force charge. Well, let's look at Jango Fett, and he's got Count Dooku on here, and Count Dooku is super powerful. Before a ship at range 02 rolls attack or defense dice, if all of your charges are active, you may spend 1 charge, name a result. If the roll does not contain that result, then you change the die to that result. You change 1 die to that result. You must do it, by the way. So when you flip over and you go into Darth Sidious, you basically coordinate to Jango Fett to do something, and then they recover a force charge, but if they have no need to recover it, then they get a focus token. That is incredibly powerful. That's great for action economy. It's really good for late game, especially when they're trying to focus on Jango Fett. If Jango Fett's the more heavily damaged one and they're trying to go after him to either get those points or half him or something, being able to basically just support Jango Fett the whole time is really good. So when you go into that late game mode of, okay, Jango Fett needs a little bit of boost, needs always in that force charge, or just needs a little bit more action economy, flip over that Chancellor Palpatine, go to Darth Sidious, and support Jango Fett. That's then becomes the name of the game. I think that Double Fire Spray is a very powerful Separatist list, especially now when you consider Count Dooku, Chancellor Palpatine. And what I also love about these 2 lists I made, I did this unintentionally. Remember, I put Vader on there to just add that extra force charge, but both of these lists I have shown you, the Palpin Squints list and the Fire Spray and Pray list that I have named it, they both contain Master and Apprentice of Palpatine and his apprentices. Very Sith. These are very Sith style lists, having Master and Apprentice. So I thought that was really funny, made me chuckle. I was like, haha, I didn't know. I wasn't not intentionally doing that, but it ended up happening that way. So again, a lot of power here. Chancellor Palpatine, Emperor Palpatine, just offers a lot. Go ahead and experiment with all this kind of stuff. And thank you guys so much for 66 subscribers. I was really hoping to hit this as fast as I can so I could surprise everyone with 66, because that is a very Star Wars number to us now. It's very much like 1138 because of just, it's a very iconic moment in Star Wars. So I'm really happy we hit this. I'm really excited to keep on doing these videos and really talk about Palpatine going forward. So please go out there, experiment, fly one of these 2 lists. Again, I'll just look at it real quick. Just Palp Aces with Interceptors. This is hyperspace legal as of now. And then, of course, we have Fire Spray and Pray. This is my extended version, just so I can get a little bit more room. But you probably could find a hyperspace legal version. But I don't think Chancellor Palpatine is hyperspace legal, so you might be stuck with it extended. But still, you can do double Fire Sprays, I believe, in hyperspace. So, again, thank you guys so much for watching. If this video helps you out, make sure you share it with a friend. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. This place crawls, and remember to always check your 6.